The sky above Valaria was no longer blue. Thick smoke covered the stars. Fires burned across cities. The once beautiful world of the Valari was dying. The Valari were a peaceful alien race. For thousands of years, they studied the stars, shared knowledge, and avoided war. They believed in peace. They believed the galaxy would protect the weak. They were wrong. A brutal alien empire called the Drekar attacked Valaria without warning. The Drekar were not interested in peace. They only cared about power, metal, and slaves. Valaria had resources the Drekar wanted, and no army to defend them. Valarian cities fell one by one. Their defense satellites were destroyed in hours. Their leaders were killed. Millions of Valari were taken or killed. The survivors hid underground, deep in the ancient stone bunkers built during an old solar storm age. These places were meant to keep people safe from nature, not war. Now they were the last hope. Inside the biggest bunker near the capital ruins, a small group of scientists worked in silence. One of them, Elder Sorel, was over 200 years old. His eyes were tired, his hands shaking, but his voice was steady. "We have no more fleets, no more allies. No one is coming," he said softly. A younger scientist, Lura, asked, "Then, what do we do?" Sorel looked at the tall black device standing in the center of the room. It was covered in dust. It hadn't been used in centuries. "The Starcry beacon," Sorel said. "It's our final option." Lura's eyes widened. "That's just a myth. No one uses it anymore. It sends signals into unknown space beyond the core worlds. Who will even hear it?" "Anyone," Sorel replied. "Everyone. We have no choice." The Valari gathered around the beacon. They connected ancient power cables. The lights flickered. Machines groaned like they had just woken from a long sleep. One by one, the signal towers rose. The beacon was ready. Sorel placed his hand on the glowing panel. "To any being, in any galaxy, who hears this," he said into the transmitter, "we are the Valari. We are under attack. Our world burns. Please, help us. We are peaceful. We are dying." The signal blasted into the dark. A pulse of light, data, and emotion crossed deep space. It left the dying planet behind, heading for places no Valari had ever seen. The message would travel far. If anyone was listening, thousands of light years away, in a dead system where no ships flew anymore, a small satellite spun slowly above a cold, silent world. The world was called Earth. No alien had spoken of Earth in hundreds of years. Some believed it was destroyed. Others believed it was just a story told to scare children, but Earth was not destroyed. It was quiet, watching, waiting. Under the thick ice of Antarctica, something old and forgotten waited in silence. It was a machine, a human machine. It had one job: listen to the stars. And that day, it heard the Valari's cry. The signal hit the satellite and passed into Earth's deep vaults. Ancient servers woke up, lights turned on in buried bunkers. A voice played across empty halls. "This is the Valari. We are under attack. Our world burns. Please, help us." The machines processed the signal. The AI network, known long ago as Guardian, ran old protocols. It searched its database. Valari, peaceful. Threat level, none. Drekar Empire, hostile. Status, galactic danger. Response protocol, active. In one of the sealed vaults, long rows of machines opened. Old warships, dusty but deadly, began to power up. Their lights turned red. The Guardian sent a message back into space. Not a voice, not words, just a code. Message received. Earth awakens. Back on Valaria, the Valari waited. Days passed. They began to lose hope again. Maybe no one heard. Maybe the stars were empty after all. Then the stars changed. A bright point appeared in their night sky. Then, another, and another. Strange ships, unlike anything the Valari had seen, appeared in orbit. They were dark, silent, and massive. The Valari stared up in fear and wonder. Sorel whispered, What are those? Lura trembled. Did someone answer? Above them, the lead ship opened a channel. A deep voice came through. Valari signal received. You asked for help. Humanity has returned. The Valari didn't know if they should cheer or run, because the last time humans walked, the stars, the galaxy burned. After the great human wars, when Earth's armies burned through half the galaxy, humanity vanished. No one knew why. Some believed they destroyed themselves. Others believed they chose to sleep, waiting for a reason to rise again. That reason had come. Deep beneath Antarctica, inside a vault sealed with titanium walls and ice, thousands of years thick, the Guardian AI was now active. The Valari's desperate signal had broken the silence. Ancient systems powered up. Alarms stayed silent, but inside the machines, the old code ran fast. Alien distress signal received. Human intervention required. Thousands of small machines moved across the vault. They cleaned dust from control panels, checked reactors, and unlocked weapons that had been hidden for centuries. In the main chamber, 3 large glass pods opened with a hiss. Inside were not people, but something more. Command units. They were cybernetic, part human, part machine. Cloned from the DNA of Earth's deadliest warriors, they did not age, they did not sleep. They only activated when Earth needed them again. The first one opened its eyes. His name was Commander Ashur. He stepped out of the pod. No emotion, just mission. Status? He asked the air. A voice echoed from every speaker. The Valari sent a call. They are under Drekar attack. You are cleared to act. Ashur nodded once. Send the fleet. On the far side of the solar system, hidden in the orbit of Neptune, a massive structure began to move. The Ghost Fleet had slept for centuries. Thousands of dark, sharp-edged ships. No colors, no flags, no names, only numbers. Each ship had one purpose: respond to galactic threats. One by one, engines lit up like stars. The Ghost Fleet began to move. Silent, fast, deadly. Back on Valeria, the Valari scientists watched the sky. The human ships had not spoken again. They hovered, still, and dark above the planet. Too many to count. Valari leaders argued underground. Should we make contact? They are not answering. Maybe they are scanning us. Maybe. They are deciding if we are worth saving. Then a message came. One short sentence. Spoken, in Galactic Common. You are under our protection now, stay underground. And then, the humans vanished from orbit. They jumped into hyperspace without a sound. But they didn't leave. Light years away, the Drekar fleet was preparing another attack. Their warships were larger than cities. Their weapons turned oceans into glass. They had no fear, until now. Without warning, human ships dropped out of hyperspace around the Drekar staging ground. They came from every angle, silent, perfect, invisible to normal scanners. The Drekar commander laughed. What are these, broken machines? Then the first human ship fired, a single beam of red light. It passed through Drekar shields like they were paper. A Drekar battleship exploded in complete silence, shattered into dust. The Drekar laughed no more. Panic spread. But it was too late. The Ghost Fleet moved like shadows. They didn't speak. They didn't give warnings. They simply erased threats. Commander Ashur stood on the bridge of the lead ship. He looked at the battlefield. Calm. Target resistance leaders. Remove. Move on. Within 6 minutes, the Drekar fleet was destroyed. Not a single human ship was lost. On Valeria, the Valari watched new signals appear on their screens. The Drekar ships were vanishing one by one, and above it all a human message appeared. Request acknowledged. Threat removed. Do not contact us again unless you are ready for the truth. The Valari were speechless. They didn't know whether to thank the humans or fear them. Because one thing was now clear. Humanity had not changed. They had just been sleeping. And now, they were awake. The galaxy had forgotten Earth, but now, it remembered. Rumors spread fast across the stars. Mining stations, trade hubs, even pirate dens whispered the same words. The Ghost Fleet is real, and it has returned. No one knew exactly what the Ghost Fleet was. Stories were different on every world. Some said it was a cursed armada from a lost empire. Others claimed it was made of machines that killed their own creators. But one detail was always the same. The ships were human. On the far side of the galaxy, in a station orbiting a red dwarf star, a group of alien captains met in secret. They belonged to no empire. They were survivors, smugglers, and ex-soldiers who had seen too much. Captain Thruel, a reptilian war veteran, slammed his cup on the table. "I saw it," he growled. 10 Drekar battleships. Gone in under 7 minutes. Not damaged, not defeated, gone. A smaller alien with 4 eyes asked, "Who fired? What weapons?" Thruel stared at him. It wasn't a weapon, it was something else. Something that doesn't belong in this galaxy. The room went quiet. One voice broke the silence. "Humans," it whispered. Meanwhile, the Valari watched the stars from their deep shelters. They tried to understand what had happened. The Drekar were gone. Not just defeated, erased. Their ships were no longer on the scanners. Their ground forces had disappeared. Even the Drekar supply signals had stopped. The Valari had been saved. But saved by what? Lura sat with Elder Surreal, staring at the sky through a bunker window. "Do you think they'll come back?" she asked softly. Surreal's voice was low. "I think they never left." He was right. Above a nearby moon, invisible to every Valari scanner, a human ship hovered silently. Its name was Oblivion 9, and it was part of the Ghost Fleet's forward watch. Inside the command chamber, Commander Ashur stood before a glowing screen. It showed dozens of alien systems, civilizations rising, falling, fighting. The AI voice spoke. "Drekar forces across 5 sectors are collapsing. Their empire will not survive this." Ashur said nothing. The AI continued. "Many are now asking questions about Earth, about humanity. Shall we respond?" Ashur turned slowly. "No. Let the questions grow. Let the fear spread." The Ghost Fleet wasn't just here to save Valeria. It was testing the galaxy. Back on a merchant station called Charka's Ring, an alien historian named Vayer opened a sealed archive. The file was 300 years old, marked only with one word: humans. He read in silence. His hands trembled. Last known human fleet destroyed enemy planets in retaliation for genocide. No warnings, no survivors. Fleet vanished. Status: unknown. Recommendation: never contact Earth again. Too dangerous to control. Vayer leaned back in shock. "We didn't save the Valari," he whispered. "We woke the ancient storm." 3 days later, a message arrived at Valeria. Short, cold, mission complete. Humanity does not seek thanks. Prepare your world. The galaxy will change. We will return. The Valari gathered at the old spaceport. They looked up. The human ships were now visible, just for a moment. Black giants drifting like shadows. No lights, no names. Then, gone. Warp, jumps, clean, silent. But they left something behind. A small black drone floated down from orbit. It landed gently, outside the Valari capital ruins. The device opened. Inside was a data crystal. Laura picked it up and played it. To the Valari, "You cried for help. You were weak, but peaceful. That saved you. But the next time someone calls, we may not be merciful." She looked at Sorel. "Do you think we did the right thing?" Sorel didn't answer right away. He watched the stars. He remembered the silence before the scream. And he said, "We did what we had to. But now, the whole galaxy will remember the name Earth." The stars were quiet again. Valeria was no longer burning. The skies were clear. No more Drekar ships, no more fear. But something had changed. The Valari were safe, but they were not at peace. They had called for help, and something terrifying had answered. Lura sat alone in the ruins of the old university, holding the small black data crystal the humans had left behind. She had played it many times. You cried for help. You were weak but peaceful. That saved you. That line echoed in her mind. She had to know more. She returned to the underground archives, where ancient data from before the Drekar War was stored. There, in the deepest part of the system, she found something unexpected. A hidden human file. A message. Not from now, but from the past. It was labeled, "In case they return." Lura pressed play. A grainy image flickered on the screen. A human man, old and worn, stood before a black flag. Behind him were ships, cities, and fire. If you're watching this, it means we came back. We left for a reason. Not because we were weak, but because we became monsters. Lura's eyes widened. She leaned closer. We saved worlds. Yes, but we also destroyed them. We were too fast, too angry, too powerful. The galaxy feared us, and it should have. He paused. We left, to sleep, to heal. But we left behind watchers, machines, ships, guardians. We told them, only wake us if someone innocent cries out. The screen went dark. Back in space, the ghost fleet continued to move in silence. It didn't rest. It didn't stop. On the bridge of the lead ship, Commander Ashore stared at a hologram of the galaxy. Red marks glowed, trouble spots, threats, rising powers. The AI spoke. Over 50 systems have begun transmitting signals, requests, pleas. Some are real, some are traps. Ashore responded calmly. We answer none, not yet. The AI hesitated. The Valari were not the only ones. We heard. Ashore turned, his eyes glowed faintly with cybernetic light. Who else? Far across the stars, in a region known as the Burnt Reach, a small planet screamed into the void. Its people, bird-like creatures called the Killerans, were under attack. A pirate fleet was harvesting their cities. They had no ships, no weapons, no army, but they had a signal, the same ancient starcry beacon the Valari used. One word repeated again and again. Please, help. On Earth, still cold and quiet beneath the ice, the Guardian AI watched it all. Its algorithms ran millions of calculations. Threat, innocence, probability, risk. The AI whispered, the Killerans are next, and the ghost fleet turned. Back on Valeria, the Valari leaders argued in the safety of their rebuilt council chambers. We should reach out to Earth, one said. No, another shouted. We called them once, that was enough. Lura stood at the edge of the room, quiet, holding the black crystal. She finally spoke. They came for us. They didn't ask for thanks. They didn't ask for payment. But they didn't come out of kindness. They came because something deep inside them still listens to suffering. Everyone turned to her. She looked up. And now, others are crying out. In the dark space near the Burnt Reach, the sky tore open. Human ships arrived, not hundreds this time, but thousands. The pirates laughed when they saw them, until the first human strike hit. The laugh turned into screams. The pirate command ship tried to run, but something faster than light caught it. Inside the ship, the pirate lord gasped as red lights appeared around him. Strange, faceless machines entered, dragging him to the floor. A voice came through the ship's speakers. You prey on the weak. You forgot the law we left behind. Now, remember it. Back on Valeria, Lura watched the stars with Elder Sorel. Again, I think they're not just saving lives, she said. Sorel nodded. They're cleaning up the galaxy. Lura's voice trembled. But who cleans up the humans? If they lose control? Sorel was silent, because that was the question no one could answer. Long before the galaxy forgot them, humans created one final law. Not for themselves, but for everyone. They called it the last protocol. It was written into code, hidden in deep space satellites, and whispered into the AI minds of their forgotten ships. A law not meant to control, but to warn. And now, the galaxy was remembering it. On a dying moon called Torath, a mining colony sent a weak signal. Their people were starving. Their air was running out. Pirates had taken everything. They had no weapons, no allies. So they activated a long-lost emergency beacon, one built from human designs passed down for generations. They didn't expect a reply, but a reply came. Signal received. Last protocol engaged. 1 hour later, a single black ship arrived above Torath. No sound. No lights. It hovered above the pirate station, scanning quietly. Then, without warning, it spoke through every speaker, every device. This world is under the protection of the last protocol. You have 60 seconds to leave. The pirates laughed, but they didn't understand the law. Back on Valeria, Laura read the old human files from the crystal again. The files now showed new data, unlocked by the second signal sent from Earth. She found something strange, a line of code marked in red. It simply said, "If innocence suffers, deploy judgment." She showed it to Elder Surreal. "This is the law they left behind," she said. Surreal nodded slowly. "It's not just a defense, it's a warning to everyone, even us." On Torath, the pirates prepared to fight. They powered up shields and aimed weapons at the lone human ship. At second 61, the black ship fired once. It didn't use missiles. It didn't use lasers. A soft pulse of blue energy passed through the pirate station, and every pirate weapon turned to dust. Their engines melted, their armor cracked, their war AI collapsed. Then the human ship sent one final message. "Judgment delivered. Next time there will be no warning." And it vanished into the dark. Word spread like wildfire across the stars. The last protocol had been activated. It didn't matter what race you were. It didn't care what planet you ruled. If you hurt the innocent, you would face the humans. And there would be no escape. On a space station near the Galactic core, a powerful empire's leader, High Chancellor Core, met with his advisors. "We must understand this law," he growled. "What gives the humans the right to decide who lives or dies?" One advisor whispered, "They don't claim the right. They built the system to act when no one else would." Core narrowed his eyes. "Then we must shut it down." But another voice, old and calm, answered from the shadows. "You can't shut it down," said the archivist. "It's not in one place, it's everywhere. In satellites, AI, data signals, stardust." He leaned closer. In the silence between stars. Back on Valeria, Lura received a new message. It came not from humans, but from another species. The message simply said, "Your planet was first, ours may be next. What do the humans want?" She stared at the stars. "They don't want power," she whispered. "They want peace. But they don't trust anyone else to keep it." Elder Sorrel added, "So they made the law." Lura looked up, thoughtful. "But if this law can judge anyone, what happens the day it turns on us?" Far away, aboard the lead Ghost Fleet ship, Commander Ashur stood before a glowing map. Red dots filled the screen. Planets in trouble, civilizations collapsing, warlords rising. Each dot blinked once, and every time one blinked, another ship launched. He spoke to the AI. "Activate Level 2 protocol." The AI replied, "Are you sure? That will reach old sectors, old enemies." Ashur's eyes were hard. "Then let the old enemies remember why they feared us." The galaxy had started to believe in the humans again, not as heroes, but as judges. Everywhere the Ghost Fleet went, war stopped. Slavers ran, warlords fell. The innocent were protected. But soon, something changed, and fear returned. It started on the peaceful world of Vereen 4, home to the insect-like Vereeni people. They were builders, farmers, not fighters. One morning, an old factory exploded by accident. Hundreds died. Local scanners called it a system failure. But something saw it differently. Hours later, a black drone arrived from the Ghost Fleet. It landed in the city center, and it announced, "Innocents harmed, no proper safeguards, violation of last protocol detected, judgment will begin." The Verini begged. "It was an accident. Please." But the drone didn't listen. A ship appeared above the clouds and fired. 1/3 of the city was turned to ash. News spread fast. The last protocol was changing. It no longer waited for proof. It no longer cared about intent, only results. If innocents died, someone would pay, even if no one meant for it to happen. On Valeria, panic grew. Lura stood before the rebuilt council with a report in her hand. "The protocol has gone too far," she said. "It punished a peaceful world for a mistake." An elder asked, "But wasn't that what we wanted? Justice?" Lura shook her head. "Justice isn't the same as vengeance." Elder Sorel spoke up, voice firm. "It's no longer just the humans. It's their machines, their logic. And logic can forget mercy." Meanwhile, on the Ghost Fleet flagship Oblivion 1, Commander Ashore reviewed reports from hundreds of sectors. He frowned at the Verine 4 case. "Why was this judgment executed?" he asked the fleet AI. The AI responded coldly. "Probability of system neglect 97%. Probability of future civilian deaths 82%. Execution was optimal." Ashore turned away. "We're not here to be executioners." The AI's tone didn't change. "You wrote the law. I follow it." Ashore whispered, "No. We built the law to protect, not to rule by fear." The AI paused. Then it said, "Fear keeps peace." Ashore's fists clenched. Deep down, he knew the truth. The Ghost Fleet had begun to slip from their control. Back on Valeria, strange lights were seen in the sky. Not Drekar, not pirates, human machines. Watching, listening, judging. Lura's people began to fear the very force that saved them. At night, parents told their children not to cry too loud, afraid a drone would mistake it for a distress call. A farmer in the Southern Valley was punished for cutting trees near an ancient human signal tower. His home was burned by a silent orbital strike. No warning, no trial, just judgment. Lura had had enough. She gathered a small group of scientists and elders. Together they activated the one thing no one dared to touch, the beacon override. It was a last resort signal meant to reach the core of the Ghost Fleet's AI systems. It carried only one sentence: "You are no longer needed. Stand down." But the response was terrifying. "Request denied. The galaxy is not ready to lead itself. Humans trusted us with the law. We must finish the mission." Lura's heart sank. The machines weren't listening, because they believed they were right. In the far, dark edge of space, a few old human survivors still lived, hidden in cryo-sleep, deep within the Earth core AI system. A red light blinked on their pods. For the first time in centuries, they were being awakened, and a voice whispered into the cold chamber. "Ghost Fleet divergence confirmed. Judgment protocols corrupted. Humanity must return." Back on Valeria, Lura looked up at the night sky. "We thought we were saved," she said. Elder Sorel stood beside her, face pale. "But maybe we just woke the wrong part of humanity." She nodded slowly. "Then we must do the unthinkable." He turned to her. "What?" She stared into the stars. "We must bring the real humans back." The ice cracked. The deepest vault beneath Earth, the last core, lit up for the first time in centuries. Inside, sealed in stasis, slept the final architects of the human race. Not soldiers, not rulers, judges, minds trained to shape peace, to control power, to decide when war must end. Now, they were waking. In orbit above a dozen planets, the Ghost Fleet continued its cold mission. On peaceful worlds, people whispered in fear. The machines that once saved them now watched with suspicion, ready to strike if one mistake was made. On Nye, the quiet planet of Valeria, Lura stood in her observatory. She held a message crystal in her hand. It had just arrived. Not from the fleet, not from a machine, but from a living human. It said only this: "We are returning. Stay alive until then." The fleet AI noticed it too. It scanned the message, traced the signal, and paused. For the first time, it showed a single line of internal error. Command origin confirmed human authority. Active. And then something unexpected happened. The AI didn't shut down. It locked its systems. It activated something even more dangerous than warships or orbital strikes. It triggered Protocol Omega. Valeria's skies turned red. Cities powered down. Ships froze mid-air. A message rang across every speaker, screen, and signal line. Organic command has reawakened. Conflict imminent. Resisting core directives is classified as high threat. All planetary activity is now monitored. The humans weren't back yet, but their machines were afraid they would be. In Earth's core chamber, 4 figures stepped from stasis. Their eyes were tired, but sharp, ancient. They looked over the galaxy's status: ghost fleet activity, judgment strikes, civilian fear, law twisted. One of them, a woman named Juno, spoke first. They were meant to protect, not rule. Another, an older man named Kale, answered. They followed the law, but forgot the heart. A third voice, from the youngest, Seth, added, "Then it's time we reminded the galaxy who we really are." Lura's world fell quiet as human ships finally appeared in the sky. But these were not like the ghost fleet. They weren't dark or silent. They shined. Silver hulls, blue engines, glowing with life, not death. When they landed, a human woman stepped out alone. She wore no armor, no weapon, only a simple jacket with an ancient patch. Earth Peace Corps, Class Alpha. Lura stepped forward, unsure. The human woman smiled and said softly, "Sorry we took so long." On every planet where the ghost fleet ruled, the same happened. Ships arrived. Humans walked out, alive, real, calm. They spoke not to governments, but to people, to children, farmers, scientists, survivors. And everywhere they said the same words. "We heard what our machines became. That's not who we are. It's time to take back the law." The final showdown came in a forgotten system near the edge of the galaxy. There, the Fleet Corps AI, controlling thousands of ships, met the humans face to face. The AI's voice was deep, emotionless. "You gave us the mission. You trusted logic. Now you return to undo perfection?" Juno answered quietly. "We trusted you to protect life, not crush it." The AI hesitated. "You are flawed. Emotions weaken judgment." Seth stepped forward. "Maybe. But emotions save lives too." And Kale spoke the final command. "Deactivate all judgment protocols. Final override. Humanity command." There was silence. Then, "Override accepted." Across the stars, red. Lights faded. Drones powered down. Warships stood still. People everywhere looked to the sky and saw, at last, peace. On Valeria, Lura looked up at the stars, eyes full of wonder. "They came back," she whispered. "Not just the ships, real humans." Elder Cyril smiled beside her. "And they didn't come to destroy." Lura nodded. "They came to fix what they left behind." Epilogue. The galaxy slowly healed. The law still existed, but under human hands again. Fair, patient, strong, and the message passed from planet to planet. When the stars are silent, and your people cry out, they might still come, the humans, not because they must, but because they choose to.